Jim, our next question sent via email to CornyDriveThru@gmail.com is from Explicit in Toronto, Canada. Should WWE finally recognize Ted DiBiase as a past WWF champ? Ted did defend the title and did promos as WWF champ. He defended the title against Bam Bam Bigelow. They don't recognize him as a past WWF world champ in their history books. What's your take on it? Should Ted DiBiase, who bought the title from Andre the Giant on the most watched wrestling show ever on television,
right,
did promos with it, wore it, I think, at a few house shows, defended it apparently, should they consider him the champion in their history books?
Well, see, with 30 years or whatever more in between, I had forgotten, or if I ever knew, I didn't know he defended it, actually. I thought, yes, he bought it from Andre, the famous Saturday Night's Main Event, the blah, blah, blah. And then, who was it? Jack Tunney at the time, right? Reversed the decision that the title can't be sold, and that was the cause of the tournament.
WrestleMania 4, that's right.
But if he defended it in the middle, then yes, they should have done some type of thing with the asterisk saying, DiBiase purchased the belt from Andre in this disputed match. And while the appeals were going on, he defended versus so-and-so and did this and that, and then was stripped of the title on such and such date. I think that, because it's not like they haven't had any other tomfoolery go on with any of the titles, or the one time they switched it and completely forgot about it and just never showed the fucking match. So it was not like they forgot about it like amnesia. They just said, fuck it, we didn't do it. We decided we didn't do it. But yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't stick Teddy in there for that. He had it longer than fucking Yoko had it after he beat Brett before he did the job for Hogan.
Again, not much of this really matters in the general scheme of things, but having this serious discussion, should the NWA recognize Edouard Carpentier? All these years later, it's a little bit different than Kowalski and Bobo Brazil, although they have claims too. Should Edouard Carpentier, who defended it and was billed as the champion in a number of places, should his title reign in some way be recognized?
Yes, I think so, because they were going to do it all the way until, what was it? Oh, goddamn it. In Thez's book, it was Eddie Quinn in Montreal didn't want to give Carpentier up to the schedule of the NWA champion and talked him out of it after he was all fired up and they'd already done the match, right? I think that because it was designed, Thez had the idea he's going on an international tour. He could drop the belt, but with a dispute, and then come back and they could do a unification or whatever the original plan was that didn't pan out. They still recognized both Carpentier and Thez as champions in various places and were starting in that direction to need a unification match, and then it all fell apart. So there ought to be some kind of footnote there. But how would they resolve it in an official record? Would they resolve it? Carpentier lost the title when Eddie Quinn said, "Come back home to Montreal, I'll pay you more money."
And again, Lou Thez, they created the international title. Did you see that telegram that recently was tweeted out from Dick Hutton to Morris Siegel?
Oh God. I think I've seen something about that in the past, but what was it? I've lost it now. What was this comment?
I believe it's a WWE tweet. I have the image here. Thanks for your offer. Am willing to meet Thez and give him a crack at the NWA title before 4th of July in Houston. However, I refuse to consider less than $25,000 guarantee with a percentage privilege also. Refuse to sign for any match in which Thez is billed as an equal basis as international champion. He must come into the ring as challenger. Best regards, Dick Hutton. What do you think of that? I mean, again, the international title, here we are talking about it. It was an issue. If you want me to wrestle him, you can't bill him as an equal champion.
Well, but hold on, cowboy. Because while that was a genuine sentiment from Sam Muchnick and other people in the NWA hierarchy. And at the time when Thez was champion, definitely that was something that he held in high regard. The idea that nobody was billed as a co-champion or as an equal, blah, blah, blah. But Dick Hutton, I'm pretty sure, probably didn't give a shit. But what that telegram was, in those days, they would send that telegram so that Paul Bosch or Morris Siegel, whoever the Houston promoter was at that era, or whoever the local promoter was anywhere else, would then print that telegram in the program, but it was a legitimate telegram. And there's no way that Dick Hutton was ever legitimately asking for $25,000 for a match in Houston when at ticket prices in those days, the house may not have been a lot more than that. But that's what they wanted the fans to think, that there were intricate negotiations going on. And you have to, sort of like it is now today for real in wrestling, you have to handle everybody's ego and massage everybody's ego. And you have to make sure everybody's money is right and handle this request and that fucking demand. And that made it more like the headlines and the news articles that people read about pro boxing and how those fights were put together. So that was a legitimate telegram that Dick Hutton legitimately sent, but the audience was either the television show where it would be read or the program where it would be printed for the fans. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I've seen some of those kind of, I hate to use the word work telegrams, but it kind of is what it is. In the past in programs, how prevalent was that?
Well, that was for years of the major way of immediate written communication is to send somebody a telegram. So,
but a work telegram.
A work telegram. I mean, in wrestling, everything's a fucking work. I mean, sometimes they might not have even sent the telegram; they would have just, written something. But a lot of times they'd send it. Remember, I have some of these. The NWA sent a telegram to all the member promoters every time there was a title change. And I have some of those. And that was a thing that they did. And then the promoters would print, sometimes they'd either verbatim copy it or they'd print the whole telegram in the program or whatever. But that was a way to make something look like breaking news. This just happened. This is important. And the telegrams were the way that these bigwigs communicate. Oh,
That's the way those bigwigs communicate. They just throw stuff all over the place.
Well, no, I elbowed my keyboard. I was waving my hands in the air, gesticulating, but that's the way they communicated, was they would send telegrams back and forth. And in all honesty, part of this also was that if it was a legitimate telegram in those days, chances are somebody at the Western Union office or the fucking delivery boy or somebody along the way was going to be a wrestling fan and know what it was or who they were talking about. And so that would make it look a little more legitimate when they deliver this telegram to this fucking promoter. But that was the way that things were done.
All right, so I guess to sum that up, Ted DiBiase should be recognized as champion if he actually defended the belt.
I think so.